it's not going to be a necessity. So sort of full body with a little bit of extra focus on hips and on shoulders. I will just have a little disclaimer. My back is super sore the last few days, so I might not be doing terribly much. We'll see how it goes. Okay. So, excuse me. Start off finding a comfortable sitting position. So if you are sitting on a prop of any kind with the legs crossed, the idea is that the prop is going to enable the hips to be higher than the knees. So you might find that you need to use something slightly different, or if you shuffle towards the front of your prop, your block, that might help. And also taking the knees a little bit wider can also help kind of find that release down. But ultimately, we want to make sure that your base is stable, so your lower body is comfortable. And then hopefully then we don't have to kind of tense and grip to hold the spine upright. It can just rest. So as you close your eyes, take a moment to just check in with your seat. So maybe feeling your sit bones or your legs, noticing how they connect to the floor. Is there a sense of being able to sort of surrender to gravity, the lower body to be heavy? And then checking in, if the lower body and the pelvis are comfortable and well supported, hopefully the spine then is able to rise with a sense of ease. We want to maintain the natural curves of the spine, so we're not looking to be ramrod straight, but nice and comfortable, or as comfortable as possible. Shoulders relaxed, jaw soft, and eyes closed but not scrunched shut. There's softness around the eyes, a softness through the whole body, really. And still with your eyes closed, take a moment perhaps to acknowledge the space around you. And that might be taking in sounds or smells, or you might just be very aware, even with your eyes closed, of literally the room, the space that you're in. The awareness is sort of fanning out, it's quite broad. Then you're going to start to bring that awareness inwards, so it's narrowing, if you like, that field of vision. Bring your attention to rest on your breathing, and wherever or however you notice the breath the most easily. So it might be the movement of breath at your nose, it could be the general feel of your breathing, or perhaps movement that's occurring around the tummy or around the ribs, the chest, whatever you can feel or notice the most easily, the most readily. And trying to rest your attention. So again, not force it, but rest your attention on that point. And anytime it wanders off, it goes elsewhere, just gently guiding your attention back to that same point. It might be that you're able to drop into this place of focused attention quite readily, quite easily. You might feel like your mind is really, really not wanting to play ball. Also completely fine. So really yoga, the physical practice, is to prepare us, to make it potentially easier and more comfortable to sit and to focus on our breath, to prepare us for this kind of meditation. So if it's difficult at this point, you might find that it gets a bit easier as you move through the practice. So when you're ready, you're just going to drop your right ear to your right shoulder, just taking a moment to find that stretch to the left side of the neck. And you might want to take some stillness here. You're welcome to invite in any movement that you might like, maybe turning the head or moving that left shoulder. So really paying attention to the sensations that you meet along the way. They might be very, in inverted commas, normal. There might be some things there that perhaps, oh, you didn't expect or you didn't anticipate that you'd feel that. Gently bringing the head up through center and switching sides in your own time. There's no rush. And same thing. So as left ear drops to left shoulder, do you want to bring in any additional movements? Do you want to just take that stillness, just breathe into the stretch or into the sensation? And see if you can be open to everything that you might experience, everything that you might feel. Bringing the head back to center. Keep your eyes closed, and through closed eyelids, see if you can look towards the tip of your nose. Not so much that it strains your eyes. Shift your attention, if it's not already there, to the tip of your nose, and imagine that there's a paintbrush on the end of it, and you're going to use that paintbrush to draw circles or figure of eights or write your name on the air, the space in front of you. It doesn't have to be any picture in particular, it could just be kind of random doodles, if you like. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is just mobilize the neck, but maintain a sense of space so that the cervical vertebrae don't get too kind of scrunchy or too compressed at any point. So if there's a piece or an area, the space in front of you that you haven't made a mark on, maybe just see if you can visit that place. Gently make your way back to center. If you're sitting cross-legged, just take a moment to switch the cross of your legs. If you're not sitting cross-legged, maybe there's another adjustment that you can make, or of course you can stay as you are. Again, having a moment to settle into this seat. Is it possible to find the same stability and the same ease in this variation? Again, when you're ready, no rush. The right arm is going to rise up to the ceiling and take you over into the side bend. So that left hand might come down to the mat anywhere you like. And that's same as we did with the neck. Do you want to be still or do you want to bring in any movement? So any movement that you bring in, just remembering that we're in a warm-up phase. And maybe the movement is just helping to explore the sensations that you're feeling, to connect with your body, to invite a little bit of ease in, but not forcing anything. And that right arm is going to start to sweep towards the top of your mat, drawing you into a forward fold, and maybe creeping the hands round, moving into a forward fold. Again, maybe a little bit of movement of the ribs, the shoulders. Spine might be rounded, spine might be extended. Again, there's a lot of variations, a lot of things that you can kind of explore, that you can play with. And then walking the hands gradually back in. Once the spine is upright, have a moment to find that kind of moment of stillness, of stability, before you move into the second side. So left arm will come up and over. Same thing, movement, stillness. Maybe you need to keep bringing your attention back to your breath or back to sensations. Maybe your mind is starting to settle just a little bit. As much as possible, disengaging from that thinking mind. So that hopefully we can be a little bit more open, again, to our experience, our sensations. And that left arm again is going to start to sweep forwards, drawing you into a forward fold of some kind. And this time, as you start to walk the body upright, walk the hands in. If you're on a block, pop it out from underneath you. Just going to uncross the legs, plant the feet on the mat in front of you, and roll yourself down to lie on your back. Once you get there, have a little second just to pause, to feel that length, that support for the spine. And then finding a comfortable position for the feet, so you can lift the hips into the air. So we're just starting to engage a little bit more through the back of the body. Trying to find space at the low back, space through the sides of the waist. Again, there might be some stillness, there might be some movement. Gently bringing the hips back down. We're going to go again, and then I'm going to give you an option to focus a little bit more perhaps on that strength. So it might be that you prefer the lift, the hold, the pause. Otherwise, you're going to come up and you're just going to take a little march with the feet. So lifting one foot, putting it down, lifting the other. Trying to keep the pelvis quite stable. Try not to get too tense, so don't grit your teeth. If possible, try not to grip everything. If you want to take it a little bit further still, then maybe each time you lift the foot, you put it down in a slightly different position. So you want to make sure, of course, that the abdominals are lightly engaged. And if you're taking those marches, I'm sure you can feel the effort that's happening in the back of the body, in the bum, and the hamstrings. But then coming back slowly to a comfortable-ish position, bringing the hips back down, and maybe pausing here. If you prefer to rock the knees or to hug the knees in for a bit of release, then take that option. And when you're ready, you're going to bring yourself to an all-fours position. So perhaps hugging the knees in, rocking up and down the spine a few times, or rolling onto one side and making your way up that way. We're just going to take a little bit of time to prep the wrists. So as you find your all-fours position, again, we're going to sort of march with the hands. You're going to lift, so lift your right hand, bring the back of the hand down to the mat, lift the left, back of the hand down. Lift the right, back to your palm, and left, back to your palm. So back of the hand on the right, back of the hand on the left, palm on the right, palm on the left. Feel free to mix up, you know, which hand you leave with. I know there's only two options, but feel free to change it up. If it feels super intense, then bring the hands a bit further back towards your knees or your thighs. You can play with sort of how much weight you're placing through the arms, through the hands. Little change. You're then going to bring palm of the hand down again, but just spin the fingertips back to point towards your knees or your thighs. You might find the body's quite still. You might find there's a bit of swaying. Doesn't really matter too much either way. And then just sitting back onto the heels, giving the hands a little bit of a shake. And then you're going to come back to all fours, but you're going to bring the knees, you're going to bring the knees wide actually. So all fours position, hands a little bit further forward, knees wide, and circling your hips around the mat. So you might find that actually that setup doesn't feel so great for you. Feel free to adapt. What we're trying to do is just warm up the hips, the spine, the shoulders, just a little bit. Changing direction. If you prefer to take, you know, a cat-cow or something else to get into those areas, then take that option for you. Come back to center. Keep the arms a little further forwards and the knees fairly wide. And you're going to gently ease the hips towards the mat, coming into sort of a weird, lazy, wide-kneed cobra up dog type hybrid. So you want to make sure the glutes are engaged, the arms are quite strong, the neck is free. And then from here, pressing your way back into a child's pose. All right. So from that child's pose, coming back up to an all-fours position, this time the knees are going to come in toward one another, so you're more like a tripod. You want to find some stability around the shoulders, so the arms are switched on, the tummy is slightly pulling in, and the pelvis is stable. So actually, if you have got a block or something to hand, a kitten, a baby, pop the block, or the kitten or the baby, maybe not, on the back of your pelvis. The idea being that if the pelvis goes too wild, the block is going to fall off. So maybe not appropriate to do with a kitten or a baby at all. All right, so you're in your tripod position. Maybe there's a thing on your pelvis, maybe not. Maintaining that stability, you're going to squeeze your right heel just lightly toward the ceiling. So you're just trying to engage and activate the right glute and the right hamstring. A few little pulses, not letting the low back dip, not letting the shoulders or the chest sink down between the shoulders. Little squeezes up. And then you're going to take your right knee for some circles, so warming into the hip. Doesn't matter which way you go first. You're starting to circle the hip and trying to maintain that stability in the pelvis. It's not going to be the biggest circle you can possibly make. Try and make sure the back of the neck is long, so the head isn't hanging or isn't compressed looking forwards. Eye line sort of towards the top of the mat maybe. Changing direction, if possible, slowing it down, and hopefully you'll feel at times the right arm is having to work a little bit harder, even though the body doesn't necessarily move. You might feel the obliques or the abdominals, different sections or different parts working harder at different parts of your movement. Great, and then you're just going to go wild. So with that right leg, big circles or figure of eights, let the hips move, let the whole body move. You can let the shoulders dip. And then coming back to center. Again, if you need to, just sit back, shake the wrists up before you move into second side. So you're going to start with those little pulses, left heel towards the ceiling, strong, stable through the shoulders, through the low back. Little pulses up. Again, pelvis stays steady, low back, stay strong, shoulders are stable. Try not to let your breath become too forced. And then when you're ready into circles, doesn't matter which direction, but trying to maintain that stability. If you're starting to feel it in your wrists, just check in with what's happening in the palms. If the whole palm is really, really spread wide and really flat on the floor, does that create tension through the palm of the hand? Does that carry up through the forearm? Maybe try softening the palms or maybe shifting the weight slightly further forwards or further back to the hands. Sorry you've been doing that for ages. Change direction if you haven't already. And then just a bit of time to go nuts, to really get that hip, that leg, the whole body kind of involved. Before gently coming back to center, again, just giving the hands a little bit of a shake. I hope the wrists are all right, because we're going to just spend a little bit more time with hands on the floor. So you're going to be in your all fours position. Hands under shoulders-ish, knees roughly under hips. You'll be tucking your toes. In fact, let's take it into a regular downward facing dog. Regular downward facing dog. So, taking your time to ease your way in, to check in with the whole body. Is there anywhere in particular that you're feeling it this morning? And how do you want to respond to that? If you want to get the body moving a little bit more, maybe taking a vinyasa or two, having that freedom to adapt, to adjust your practice for your energy levels, for the body that you're working with. And in fact, once you're back in a downward facing dog, take your time. You're either going to walk your hands to your feet or your feet to your hands, doesn't matter which. Bit of time in your forward fold if you want it. before you make your way up to standing. Again, there's no rush, no rush. Okay. So we'll see how this goes on Zoom, but standing comfortably. So not too tense, try not to grip the knees, grip the bum too much. Right hand out towards the side, palm up towards the ceiling. That hand is going to circle forwards and under the arm, and then sweep forwards and over the head. That's coming forwards, under the arm, forwards and over the head. Keep that going. And if you're like, I have got no idea what's going on, just keep noodling that arm around. We just want to warm the shoulder up essentially. If you're like, cool, yeah, I've got this, 2 circles, forwards, forwards, over and under, however you want to think about it, then to add a bit more challenge, you can either place something on the palm of your hand, or imagine there is something on the palm of your hand that you don't want to spill, that you don't want to drop. If you want to add to that challenge even more, you're going to try and keep the whole body quite still and just move that right arm. So it's the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist. The wrist will also need to move and adapt. Let's go on the other side. Boink. Same thing. Leading with the little finger, I don't know if that's a helpful cue. Little finger is leading forwards and under the arm. And again, that little finger is going to lead forwards and over the head. Under the arm, over the head, under and over, always circling forwards. If possible, palm up towards the ceiling, but that can be kind of the last piece of the puzzle. Again, added challenge. Try not to spill, drop the thing that is on your hand, whether real or imagined. If you have got something on the palm of your hand, you're not allowed to like cheekily hold on to it. Thumb and little finger like to squeeze, or the palm kind of drops back, keeping that palm really flat. And then lastly, trying to keep the body maybe a little bit more still, so it's just working into that left arm. And just for good measure, little shake off. Da-dang! 2 arms at once. Same thing. Forwards and under. Forwards and over. Keep that going. Trying to keep the body quite still. If I had things on my hands right now, they wouldn't be on my hands. Not a chance. Okay. Hopefully now shoulders are fairly warm. So give them a little shake out, give them a couple of little rolls. And then when you're ready, coming towards the top of your mat, planting the feet comfortably, take the arms all the way up to the sky. Take an in-breath there. As you exhale, bring the hands down to the mat, stepping back into a down dog, and maybe you stay there, maybe you take a vinyasa. Vinyasa is always optional, and vinyasas can be taken in any form, any variation that you like. But once you've had a bit of time to move or to be still, whatever you need, you're going to come to all fours. So hands are under the shoulders-ish, knees are under the hips. We're going to be lifting up and down, to and from a down dog. But because your stomach's going to be quite short, it's just worth mentioning, it's going to feel potentially a little bit tighter through the hips, through the low back and through the hamstrings. So just bear that in mind, take it a little bit easy the first few times. And then the other thing is, I'd like you to keep as much weight in the arms as possible for as long as possible. So think like a helicopter, you hover straight up, weight is in the arms, and then slowly, towards the end of the movement, you open the shoulders and take the hips back into your down dog. To come back to where you came from, again, shift forwards, weight into the arms, and then slowly lower the knees down. So you're going to keep doing that. If you can, nice and slow. The arms need to be really, really strong. The abdominals are working. Knees can stay pretty soft to help make that short down dog a little bit more comfortable. We also want to try and make sure that the neck stays long. So as we're shifting up and down, the shoulders aren't getting up to the ears at any point. So next time the knees are down, give the hands a little bit of a shake, because we're going to, it's an option to make it a little bit harder. So you can do the same thing again, or bringing the knees in a little bit closer, toes tucked under. You're going to bring your right knee slightly forwards towards your chest, and then as you hover up, you're opening it up into a three-legged or a split dog. Again, it's going to be short. And then as you come back down, shifting forward, slow bend of both knees. Right knee is going to stay off the mat. You're going to go again. So how many you do is up to you. Try and get those arms to be used as much as possible, basically. But let's say next time you come down, don't rush. Step your right foot outside of your right hand. So you might want to take it a bit further forward, opening it up and just having a bit of time to get into those hips. So again, like we did at the start, stillness or movement, it's up to you. And is the hip for you this morning, do you want to just focus on that hip flexor? Do you want to get a bit more into the outer hips or the adductors? Come back to sort of stillness, to center for a moment. Find a stable position so you can sweep both arms high, and then take it into a side bend, reaching over towards the right leg. So you could maybe interlace hands. They could lead you over, or right hand could come to right thigh. That left arm could reach. You're going to bring both hands back down to the mat. Kick your back left foot 90 degrees to the right, and sit down onto your left heel, facing the long edge of your mat. Shuffle your right foot back in towards you. Keep the toes pointing towards the top of the mat. Keep the heel heavy, and you're just going to lean your weight forwards towards the top of your mat. So if you find that your heel really, really wants to lift, A, try and think about grounding it or softening it down. B, maybe take it a bit further forwards if it's getting a bit impossible. If you've got a lot of space here, you might find that that foot is really tucked in. You might feel that you just don't feel a lot. But then you're going to bring the weight back, step the right foot further forwards, and now we're going to work more into the adductors. So as you shift forwards, maybe bringing right arm or right hand to the mat on the inside of that right knee, my bum's lifted away from my back left heel, and then if I want to, I can use my right arm, my right tricep to encourage that right knee back a little bit as well. And then a couple of times we're going to shift front and back around the mat. So I'm going to drop my bum to my heel, left hand to the back of the mat, little lift, right arm circles over. Drop my bum to my heel, take my right hand to the top of the mat, left arm circles over. So shifting front to back. Oh. Feel free to change the position of that right foot, that right leg. You don't have to stay locked in any particular position with the legs. Think about where those arm circles are coming from. So if possible, the circle not coming just from the shoulder, but coming from the tip of the shoulder blade. So we're integrating those arm circles into the sides of the body a little bit more. Nice, really good. But when you're ready, two hands are going to come to the top of your mat. Pivot yourself back into your lunge with the right foot forwards. Pick up the back knee, and you're going to step into a forward fold at the top of your mat. So use the abdominals to help draw the hips high as that back leg Comes in. Bit of time in your forward fold. Before you then come all the way up to standing. Take your time. Once you get up to standing, give the shoulders a couple of rolls. You're going to come into cow face arm. So your right arm is coming from above, left arm from below. So if you want your strap, now's a good time to grab it in the right hand. Finding your variation, basically. So once you find, take my watch off, once you find that, whether you have fingertip, whether you're holding your clothes, try and make sure you're not holding your breath. That's the only thing I will say. Once you find that, see if you can just relax the legs a little bit. So maybe give the legs a bit of a shake. Find some stillness again. See, is it possible to lightly draw the bottom ribs into the body and to lengthen the tailbone slightly down to the floor? But if the legs have got tense, shake them off again, but try and maintain that effort around the torso and around the low back. Maybe finding some stillness again, maintaining the stability around the low back, gently lifting chin away from the chest. So can we soften the shoulders, soften the jaw, but maintain that little bit of effort around the abdominals? Can we soften the legs, soften the feet, soften the breath, but maintain that little bit of effort around the abdominals, around the low back? As you release the arms, take them out to the side, palms up towards the ceiling. Thumbs and shoulder blades are going to squeeze towards the back of the room. As you squeeze the arms back, palms are still towards the ceiling. Try not to let the chest stick forwards. Keep breathing. Arms up towards the ceiling. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, hands to the mat, stepping back for a down dog, a child's pose, a vinyasa. Again, whatever is going to tick your boxes, whatever they might be. And once you're done, coming back to all fours, but bringing the knees in, closer into touch. Make sure hands are firm under the shoulders. Get those abdominals switched on. Bring the left knee off the mat. Make sure your toes are tucked beneath you. Left knee's up, it comes forwards, comes off the mat, hovering up, weight into the arms, and opening it into your split dog, your three-legged dog, good guys. And then shifting forward, weight into the arms to help control that lowering down. Keep that going, keeping the weight in the arms. I say that, but that right leg is still going to be working hard. Try not to be in a rush to straighten your right leg. I'm going to challenge you on the way up to keep your right knee bent for as long as possible, and on the way down to bend your right knee almost as the first thing you do. Awesome. But next time you're down, unless you particularly want to take another one, in which case be my guest, left foot is going to step towards the top of the mat, a bit wider than its own hip. Open that lunge up as much as you want to before you then start to move the hips. Shift the pelvis around the mat. Try not to worry about it being the same as the first side. And instead, maybe just focus on how it feels on this side, working with the information that you're getting this time around. Just gonna spin myself around. Coming back to center. Finding a stable enough position that you can lift both arms and take it into a side bend, so you're leaning over towards the right leg. So whether you've got two arms up, one hand, left hand maybe on the left thigh, entirely up to you, noticing how that changes perhaps what you're feeling. Where do you feel that stretch? And as you come back to center, kicking your back right foot 90 degrees to the left, sitting down onto your right heel, bring the left foot in, keep toes pointing forwards. Again, just gently leaning the weight towards the top of the mat, trying to keep the heel heavy. Notice if the weight rolls, if you roll onto the inner edge of your left foot, try and keep it fairly neutral. Again, if you take the foot further away from you, it'll be a little bit easier. If you tuck it in even further, it's going to be slightly more intense or more challenging, depending on what's available to you. Releasing, stepping the left foot further forward, this time opening up into the groin. So as I shift forwards this time, my bum is lifting away from my back heel. You've got the option to connect left tricep to left knee, and use that to kind of encourage that left knee to move back a little bit. And then when you're ready, shifting front to back. So right hand plants at the back of the mat, hips lift, left arm circles. Dropping the bum, reach to the top of the mat, left hand plants, right arm circles. Again, feel free to move your left foot to play around with what's happening in the hips. And think about where those arm circles are coming from, and integrate the arm into the torso, into the body. The hands are going to come to the top of the mat. You'll pivot into your lunge with the left foot forwards, pick up the back knee. Stepping into a forward fold again, use the abdominals to help draw that right foot forwards. As much or as little time as you want in your forward fold before you come out to standing. So this time you're going to be in your cow pose arms again, this time the left arm above. So once more, if you've got a strap, if you want one, hold it in the left hand, and then allow the right arm sort of creep up to find its way. Again, shaking out the legs, perhaps. Finding some stillness, trying to just slightly close and engage, close the front of the body, engage the abdominals, find some length of the low back. Again, can you maintain that, but release the legs? Again, maybe finding some stillness. Once again, bring the chin away from the chest, lightly pressing the head back into the arms. Can you maintain that support around the low back, that stability around your midsection? But ease the jaw, ease the shoulders, ease the legs, the feet, the breath. And this time, as you release the arms, you're going to interlace the hands in front of you, palms facing you. Little bend of the knees, little tuck under of the tailbone as you bring chin to the chest, and press the backs of the hands away from you. So creating a bit of a C curve to the back of the spine. So try not to lock the legs out. Knees bent, tuck the bum under. And as you release, hit the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. Have a little moment to just stretch there. And to release, you're just going to circle the arms back behind you. And then pick up your left foot, come into tree pose. The hands can be wherever you want. Your tree pose. Tree pose could be low, high, could be more traditional heel, left heel to opposite right hip. Okay, so it feels a little bit unstable, a bit wobbly. Take a moment maybe to pause, to come out, to find your breath, find your focus. It's that drishti, that eye gaze becoming your anchor. So as you switch sides, again, take your time to find your stability before you pick up your right foot. So steady your gaze. Again, that is going to be your anchor. So try and keep looking at that point as you move into your second side. Maybe there's a little bit of a sense of the hips coming forward or lengthening tailbone towards the floor, lightly pressing right knee back perhaps. Nice, and gently releasing. Excuse me. Okay. So standing towards the top of your mat, the first thing that we're going to do is quite a big transition. So you're going to initially be standing on your right foot, picking up your left knee, and then moving into a half moon. So if you want to have a little practice, go for it. So for that half moon, the left leg is reaching towards the back of the mat. If possible, the right hand's going to stay off the floor. Arms at 12 and 6. Whole body open as well, hips open towards the long edge of your mat. Cool, so we're going to do it again. Beautiful. So you're going to come to the top of your mat, have a little shake out. Forget that practice round happened, pick up your left leg. So make sure that you've got a steady gaze. If you want to kind of move that left leg, left hip, you can do. Now before you move into your half moon, pick a drishti, pick a focus, pick somewhere to look at. Keep looking at that point as you move into your half moon. Think of expanding out maybe from your center. So the spine is reaching forwards as the left leg is reaching back. Keep looking at that gaze point, keep looking at that same place as you start to bend your right knee and slowly land into a warrior two, left foot to the back of your mat. Now maybe lifting, changing your gaze. Straighten your right leg and turn 90 degrees to the left, toes out, heels in, come into horse stance or goddess pose. You want a bit of buoyancy in the hips, so there's a bit of freedom, a bit of this, whatever this is. And then you're going to straighten both legs, turn the feet forward. You're going to take a flat back, so hinging from the hips, and again, a little bend of the knees, and keep that buoyancy. So you might want to take the feet wider or narrower. So think like a tennis player. You can tell I don't play tennis, or a surfer. So keep that little bend in the knees, keep that buoyancy. Arms are going to hang down to the floor, and then keeping the neck long and the tops of the shoulders free, you're going to float the arms out to the side, effortless, and then release down. And do that a few times. Maybe keep the elbows soft, keep the hands relaxed. Can you keep the upper traps disengaged, sides of the neck, tops of the shoulders? So maybe it starts with a small squeeze of the shoulder blades, and the arms float from there. Doesn't have to be the widest arms or the furthest back arms. We're looking for the least effort arms. Least effort arms. Release the hands down to the floor. Walk them to the top of your mat. So you're coming into a lunge with the right foot forward. Plant the hands. Take the right leg back into a three-legged dog. You're going to take some figure of eights. So lift your left heel, slightly bend your left knee, bend your right knee as well. From here, you're shifting forwards. The right knee is going to sweep towards left elbow and right elbow. Shift it back into your three-legged dog, and the left knee is going to circle behind you, up and out. So the right knee is going to circle behind you, up and out. So you're creating a figure of eight. As you come forward, it circles underneath you. As you come back, it circles behind you. And again, one or two more. Use the bend in your left knee. Don't lock that leg out. The next time you shift forwards, squeeze right knee towards left elbow. Extend right leg out towards the left side of your mat. So on the little toe edge of that right foot, drop your back left heel in and down. Lift the left arm high. Maybe you can play with sending the hips further forward, so that right leg might slide away from you. Think of expanding out into the space around you. And then gather it in, eye line towards the top of the mat. Two hands come down. Stepping back to a plank position to move through a vinyasa, or take a breather. But when you're ready, you're going to make your way to standing once again. any way you like at the top of your mat. So same thing on the other side. I'm going to turn to face the other way. As you stand at the top of your mat, steady your gaze. Look at one point, maybe forwards and slightly down. Feel that fine-tuning of your focus as you pick up the right leg. And hopefully by focusing on that point quite intently, it'll provide a physical anchor. It will also kind of clear your mind, which again is going to help with your stability. You're going to start to move into your half moon. Keep looking at that point. As the right leg reaches back, the spine reaches forwards. Again, expanding into the shape, into the pose, which makes it sound really easy. Keep looking at that same point as you start to slowly bend your left knee and lower your right foot to the back of the mat, warrior two. Maybe at that point, you consciously shift your gaze. Straightening your left leg, turning 90 degrees to the right. As you take it down into your horse stance or your goddess pose, we're not going to spend so long here this time. Maybe you can keep the hips low, keep the knees bent as you turn the feet parallel and reach the spine a little further forward. Again, keep that kind of buoyancy, that freedom around the hips. Let the arms hang. Again, a few times, floating the arms wide, effortless. Jaw is relaxed, neck is easy, even the arms feel fairly soft. Minimal effort. Is it possible to find that? Just once more. Before the hands find the floor, you're going to walk them towards the top of your mat, so coming into your lunge with the left foot forwards. Plant the hands, sweep the left leg back, three-legged dog. And again, you're going to be figure of eighting. Use the push in your right leg, use that power, that strength. So let your right heel lift, your right knee bend a little, or even a lot as you come forwards. Left knee sweeps right elbow, left elbow, and then it completes that figure of eight up and back behind you. And again, shifting forward, circles under, shifting back, circles over, circles out. And then that left knee is going to squeeze towards the right elbow. Kick it out towards the right side. On the little toe edge of your left foot, drop the back heel in and down. Lift the right arm. Again, open up into that shape if you can. Maybe send the hips forward, slide left leg further away, strong to the arms. Expanding out. And then we're going to draw back in, eye line to the top of the mat. Two hands come down. As you step back into your plank and move through your vinyasa, or take your breather. Once you've done what you're doing, take a moment to find some stillness, whether that is, or take a rest, whether that's child's pose or sitting or kneeling. Find a comfortable position to close your eyes, to check in. Without thinking about it, without trying to label everything that you're feeling, just get a sense of what's happening, of how you're doing. Keeping your eyes closed, shift your attention to your breath, to wherever or whatever allows you to feel it the most readily, the most easily. And try to keep resting your focus there. Not forcing it, so if it keeps wandering, that's fine, just gathering it back, not trying to force it to stay still. You might find that it's much the same You might find it's easier to rest your attention on this point. It might be more challenging. It has a lot of physical sensation happening, a lot of other stuff that you're feeling. It's not about following a particular set of expectations or rules, but just noticing how it is for you. When you're ready, eyes can be open or closed. You're just going to make your way down to lie onto your back. Maybe you're finding some stillness when you get there. Maybe you're hugging the knees in or having a little roll, a little twist. And we are heading towards Shavasana. So what's going to make you feel good or just feel a little bit better, a little bit more comfortable at this point? It might be that you just want to get there. Maybe you want to take a back bend, or you want to get upside down, or keep as you are. Give yourself a minute or so to move, to explore, to satisfy maybe, to indulge even. Just what do I really enjoy at the end of my practice? And there isn't a right or a wrong. If it's a bit chilly, maybe make sure that you've got a layer or two to wrap yourself up in. You're starting to think about making your way down for that Shavasana, but as always, there is no rush, no rush. When you get there, arranging your body in a way that is going to feel comfortable for you. Eyes closed. If possible, opening the body up, palms towards the ceiling, so that you can absorb, receive, that you are open to whatever Shavasana might have. And in your Shavasana, continuing to just guide your attention back to your breath anytime you realize that you're caught up in thoughts. And doing that as often as it might be needed. Without judgment, that doesn't make things wrong or bad. Experiencing your Shavasana as it is today. Keeping your eyes closed, keeping your body still. Just bring your attention back once again to your breath. Maybe it feels good to take a deeper, a more full breath. Inviting movement back into your body whenever and however feels good for you. If there's some softness, some weight, some ease to the body, see if you can keep that as you make your way gradually to a seat. Take as much time as you need. When you do find your seat, perhaps just taking a moment to check in with your body, maybe to move a little bit before gently settling back into some stillness to finish up. And see if you can get a sense of how you're feeling without labeling or thinking too much about it. Keep the eyes closed, just rub the palms together, create a little bit of warmth, a bit of friction. And bring the hands to rest over closed eyes. Softly opening your eyes beneath your palms. And gently allowing the hands to fall away. And we're back in the room. So thank you very much, guys. Thanks for coming to play this morning. I appreciate it. I hope you have a lovely weekend. And I will see you next week. Beautiful.
Thank you. Bye, Anna.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Bye. Anna, love you too.